So there's nothing really to talk about, but Ole Miss got its 10th win of the season against the Florida Gators, and they are pretty widely accepted they're going to make the college football playoff. Let's bring in Ole Miss legend John Fourcade to talk all about it. This is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right. Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. I'm your host, Steven Willis, a 10-year veteran member of the national media and former Ole Miss staff member. We're going to talk about Ole Miss winning the game that, honestly, over the last 60 years, they've lost. Kewan Lacey's star performance, and we'll even touch on the Lane Kiffin stuff as well. Thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen every day, and please give us a like, subscribe, and comment on your way out. Please check out a second listen on the network. Nearly every team, college and pro, is available. And also, thank you very much for making Locked On America's #1 sports podcast network that does not go unnoticed. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if that bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download that app today. All right, John, that was a fun game. It was a record attendance. Kewan Lacey just went beast mode in that game. Ole Miss picks up the win over the Florida Gators in a game that they should have won probably by a wider margin. But Ole Miss got that elusive 10th win, and the playoffs, that should be the only focus of this team moving forward, and that includes beating Mississippi State to get there.
Well, there's no doubt we all thought about that. If they won the game, they're probably going to make the playoffs, even if something happens against Mississippi State. I still believe they're in the playoffs. And so with that being said, that game the other night, you were right. They should have walked away with a 17, maybe a 20-point win. They had every opportunity. Things didn't go their way for a certain amount of time, and they played really, really well in the fourth quarter. I was surprised that Florida did play lagway. He played a little bit better, but he's lagway. He's going to give it away, and he's definitely throws the ball around. But I think the team played hard in that game. They relied on the running game. Lacey really, like you said, played one of his best games ever that he's been in the Rebel uniform. And that's good games that they got to play like that and win those kind of football games against that kind of a caliber of team, because Florida's still in the SEC, still got a great defense, and still has some great players. So, look, got to rest this week. You rest up. And what's all on everybody's mind. It's, and we'll talk about that as this show goes on. But I'll say this, the Egg Bowl is going to be, everything's thrown out the window. I don't care they're 10-1. I don't care what Mississippi State's record is. They're trying to get a win and maybe squeak into a, bottom-end bowl game. But they can't go in this ball game and lay down. They got to go in this game and take care of business.
Yeah, and there's nothing more dangerous in the world, and I've said this for 2 weeks, than a 5-win Egg Bowl team. Whenever that Egg Bowl team is preparing for a bowl, I've seen it over my last 40 years. I tell people all the time, John, my first game for Ole Miss was the Ole Miss-Mississippi State game in 1982. I've seen a lot of these games, a 5-win Egg Bowl team, that's dangerous.
Well, I went into my senior year with 3 wins, and we won the last game, beat them on the last play of the game. To my last career of ever touching a football in college was running it in for the winning score. They were going – I don't know if they were going to a bowl. I don't remember. I could care less about what their record was, but they were better record-wise than we had. We went in there, and we should have won 4 years in a row. When I was there, we won 3 out of 4, and we were not a great winning record school. So I've seen it. I've been involved in it. You throw out everything. These teams hate each other. I mean, this is the right to own the state of Mississippi. And what more way to go out than 11-1 and go into the playoffs knowing you won against your rivals on the last game of the season. So don't have a letdown, and this is not one. I know we talked about they'll get in the playoffs probably if they do lose this game. It's a 10-2 team. They should, but it's not. It's a lot nicer going in as a winning team with 11-1 because you don't want that salty taste in your mouth losing to Mississippi State.
Yeah, and if you're 11-1 also, that means you get to host the biggest college football game in the history of the state of Mississippi.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go 11-1, Steven, you're going to get to host the game. And then by all, you still can squeak in 11-1. Things have to happen for you to move up to the fourth best team. I think you need Alabama to beat A&M. You need Indiana to lose, and then you can work your way up to that number 4 spot. But, if you're in the top 8, you're going to host that game. And hey, you talk about a wild time last weekend against Florida. Wait till you see if they host a playoff game in Oxford.
Yeah, that atmosphere against Florida was just completely unhinged. It was amazing. I haven't seen Vaught Hemingway look like that more than probably 3 or 4 times in my lifetime.
Yeah, I'd have to say that's one. I've been to a couple of games when, it's been rowdy. It's the evening time. It's better at the night games than it is at any time during the day. It's sort of like with LSU. You play LSU at night, that's a brutal time to play. But now Ole Miss is starting to get like that. We want night games at Oxford up at Ole Miss. And if you can get a playoff game, and you know as well as I do, first time ever in a playoff game at Oxford, I don't know where people are going to come in at, where they're going to stay, and how you're going to put, it might say 75,000 fans, but you probably could squeeze in 80, and they'll double dip and sit on people's laps. Just put them in there, and that's what I say. Open it up to the public and let them come in and watch.
Yeah, just create just a massive humanity all around. It will be pretty fantastic what's going on. Now, today's been a weird day, and we're going to talk about this in the next couple of segments, and we'll talk about some of the games this weekend because it's Cupcake Saturday officially in the Southeastern Conference, but there are a couple of decent games out there. But when we come back, we will talk about the Lane Kiffin situation that is going on right now. This is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making a late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers, $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com and sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Also, do us a favor, like, subscribe, and comment on this video. Subscribe to the podcast on whichever audio podcast you're listening to and give it a 5-star review. It costs nothing, but it helps keeps all of this for free. Locked On is getting ready to change the game yet again, all in the name of having fun following your team. That's coming in December. And thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast and network in America. That couldn't happen without you. And thank you very much for that. All right, John, one thing's interesting. There's a plane in Baton Rouge right now that has the Kiffin family on it. Kiffin stayed back in Oxford. Yesterday, there was a plane in Gainesville that had Kiffin family members on it. They're obviously shopping around, and I'm just going to be honest. This is not the behavior of anybody that is going to stay in Oxford.
Yeah, I would, before I got on here to talk to you about it, I've heard all kind of stuff about the planes. I've got people sending me from my other shows I do. And what's going on, John? You got any scoop, this, that, and the other? And after chatting with you, a plane in Baton Rouge, that was the first one I got. And then obviously the plane that goes to Florida. Look, Lane Kiffin has a place still in Boca Raton. He loves that kind of lifestyle, living close to the beach. But he did it in California, did it in Florida in the past. Okay, Baton Rouge, they got to give their due diligence to go to visit all these schools. So what's the first thing you do? You send your wife because it's his ex-wife, but she's been living with him in Oxford. So I don't know how you want to call that, ex-wife or soon-to-be remarried wife. I mean, who knows? Obviously, if he wants to be back with his wife, she's going to be part of this with some of the family members going there. It's not a good picture. I'm thinking, well, maybe if he does this, they will let him finish coaching out during the playoffs. But it would be foolish for Ole Miss to say, yeah, you can go somewhere else and coach all the way till January. Then you got teams like Florida, Baton Rouge. And now I'm hearing Texas might be sneaking in the picture because they got issues in Texas with the Stark, and they might get rid of him. So that might open up another spot for him. He's a hot commodity. You can't fault the man. Everybody wants him. So you got to look at all your do's and don'ts. But I mean, it's a situation that it could happen to any college coach at any moment during a end of the year thing. It's just a sad situation to see it. Ole Miss was, 5-5 right now. He's packing his bags and going, but 10-1 and possibly a good playoff pitcher and maybe play for the national championship. Who knows? And it's a sad situation, Steven, but what can we do? It's him and his wife and his kids' decisions.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I feel bad for – listen, if it's before the Egg Bowl, this is during the bye week before the Egg Bowl. Let's say that Lane Kiffin goes to Florida or LSU before the Egg Bowl. How is that not viewed by the national media or whoever of quitting on your team, a playoff team?
All right, listen, let me just say this. If I'm Ole Miss, here's what I do. Don't put no restrictions on what to do there because play the doggone Egg Bowl. I think Lane Kiffin, what's the difference between the Egg Bowl or after the Egg Bowl if he leaves? It doesn't matter. Let the man coach the Egg Bowl. If he leaves, he leaves. If you want him out of there and you want him, don't put no do or die. You got to make a decision now. Play the Egg Bowl. You end up 11-1. Now you got weeks to prepare before you play your playoff game. And you know what? If he goes, he goes. And there's nothing you can do about it. The players, let me just say this. Players aren't playing for Lane Kiffin. They're playing for themselves and the other 88 guys there because if they know the guy left, that's more motivation. Wait a minute. If he leaves us, he leaves us. We don't need him to go win and I would win the playoff and be the national championship if it comes to that and say, Lane Kiffin, you don't get a ring from us. Sorry, you got it. You're not getting a ring. You left us, you quit on us, but let them quit on you after the season because you got a whole month to prepare for the playoffs. I mean, there's so much going on right now, Steven, that let's just get, I don't think nothing to be done before the Mississippi State game. I think if he goes and he tells Florida, Baton Rouge, LSU, or if it's Texas, who knows, if he's going to take one of them jobs, I think he'll say, look, you announce it after the Egg Bowl. Let the season end, announce it. Why would you wait? Announce it before the last game of the season. I don't think LSU or Florida would do that. And I think Lane would come to them and say, listen, if you want me, you don't say a word about this till after this game.
Yeah, it's a shame that they kind of let this circus develop and it just grew bigger and bigger and bigger because coaches talk about jobs all the time. No matter who is successful in college football, there's jobs coming at them. The difference is you nip it in the bud as far as communication on that until the end of the season or something like that, and you don't allow this to happen. At this point, you have to know your SEO catnip, and everybody's going to talk about it because Lane Kiffin is in the headline.
Well, there's nothing Lane can do. He didn't bring this up. He didn't start talking and telling everybody, oh, I'm going to LSU, I'm going to Florida, I'm doing this and that. No, the media and everybody else is putting this out there. There's nothing that Lane can do about it, nothing Ole Miss can do about it. This happens to everybody who's got a popular coach that somebody wants. I mean, they were doing it with Nick Saban in the LSU. He left. LSU still goes out and wins some national championship with whoever's coaching it. And I'm not saying, Ole Miss is winning national championships in the past to show this, but listen, my God, you know as well as I do, if you go to Ole Miss and you win 11 ball games, you're a stepping stone to go play somewhere else. That's part of being college football coaching. You take a program and you win football games and you're playing for national championships, or you're winning for SEC championships or whatever it may be. Somebody else is going to want you. They're going to throw money at you. And do you fault Lane? No, I don't. You only got to make a decision. Well, how can if I make a decision and say a week ago when it all came up, oh, I'm going to Florida, I'm going to LSU, I'm going to Texas, I'm going somewhere else. Why would he want to do that? No, and it's not his fault. He's not going to come out and say anything. But what's he going to do in front of the media when they come? He's got to say his words correctly. He has to be smart about what he does. Not to do anything now before the season's over with. I mean, it's catch-22. What are you going to say? What are you going to do? I mean, Lane didn't bring this upon himself. It came to him. I mean, he's trying to be gentle about the situation. I don't fault the guy. It's not his fault. Somebody offers you $15 million a year and you go live in Florida. I mean, come on, you can win national championships on a better bet. You got better NIL money in Florida, better NIL money in Baton Rouge, better NIL money in Texas. Ole Miss can do a little bit and everything, but I mean, You got to give the guy a chance. It's his decision of what he's going to do. I understand it's going to hurt some feelings, going to do everything. If he stays, great. I'm all for that. If he goes, there are some coaches out there you can bring in. I got one right there in Tulane. I would tell you, you better go after John Summerall if Lane Kiffin leaves.
Yeah, absolutely. He would be my number one on the board, and phone calls should have already been made if we're going to be completely honest, because if you can read the tea leaves of what was going on, try and head off because everybody's wanting John Summerall as well. All right, so when we come back, we will get into week 13 with the legend, John Fourcade. This is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Stick around. College football is back, and I could not be much more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually, getting tickets can feel more like a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, price jumping at checkout. That is why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. I pulled up to Game Time, and in just a couple of taps, I saw some amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite college football games for as low as $25. Honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I've bought tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, John, real quick talking about there's not many great games this weekend. There's a few, but there's not many. But the game that I have the most, I don't know, that I just want to see, Kentucky is going down to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's favored by 9.5 points in that football game. But Kentucky is one win away from a bowl game. That's one of those 5-win teams. If they get Vanderbilt or if they get Louisville, they will get there. And Vandy, by goodness, if they win their last 2 games, they're in the legit college football playoff discussion. This is a fun matchup.
It's strange to us sit here and say Vanderbilt could be in the college playoff top 12 teams. They got to win their last 2 games and hope for the best. But look, it's a great story. I think they take care of business against Kentucky. I think Kentucky has snuck up on the last couple of teams that they played. I mean, they beat Florida. Florida was a mess a couple of weeks ago, and they went in, lately. But I don't think they're going to beat Vandy at Vandy. I think Vandy's got too much going for them, knowing that, one team hoping to make a bowl bid, the other team's got a chance to make a college playoff. So I like Vandy at home in this game. They've been playing some good football. It's going to be hard for them to go to Tennessee next week. I say that now, but we'll see what happens. But I like Vanderbilt against Kentucky this weekend.
All right, the other game that's pretty interesting is Missouri. Even though you have a true freshman quarterback going against that Oklahoma defense, I think Oklahoma's favored by like 4.5 points or something like that, but they're hosting the Missouri Tigers. This is a game to where Ahmad Hardy and that Missouri rushing attack, they have to stay on schedule, because if you're getting long yardage with a true freshman quarterback, it's all she wrote.
Well, you look at the game, and I don't know why it's a 4.5. I would have thought maybe 7.5, 8, favored by Oklahoma, at Oklahoma, against a freshman quarterback who's going to be good. I see he's going to be good, but you're going into Oklahoma knowing that you don't have an SEC championship to play for. You're playing for the top quality bowl game. Oklahoma, by all means, could backdoor one in like Vandy and hope that something happens and they can be that team getting in the college playoff. Oklahoma looked really good against Alabama, who can't run a football and save their life. Oklahoma's got such a good defense. At home right now, I don't think Missouri's got a chance to win this game at Oklahoma. Oklahoma would really have to play awful to lose that game.
Yeah, and obviously we are not rooting for Ole Miss to make the SEC championship game, but
Correct.
this is how Ole Miss gets into the SEC championship game. If they beat Mississippi State, Alabama loses to Auburn in Jordan-Hare in Auburn, and Texas A&M loses to Texas, Ole Miss is going to the SEC championship game.
I don't. Alabama probably takes care of business by beating Auburn. I think they'll beat Auburn. Auburn's a mess. I don't see A&M losing to Texas. I think Texas has got their issues. I think both them teams play each other, and Georgia's hoping for it. Ole Miss is hoping for it. Y'all go take care of each other. Y'all play that extra game. Good luck in the SEC championship game. We want to win a national championship, and we're gonna be well rested when our playoff game comes. Because what happens if A&M, Alabama, or either A&M, Alabama, one of them two teams get in and lose a player, a quarterback, or a scenario like that, and that, especially A&M, you lose a certain amount of players. You're going, A&M can still lose one game, and they're going to be in. And I don't see Alabama. Alabama can't lose anymore, and they hope for something to happen. They got to win, run the tables, but. Georgia, they don't want to play in it. And I know Ole Miss says, hey, we fine where we're at. We got other issues right now with who the hell's going to coach us. So that's where we don't need to be going to SEC championship game with some new coach and guys being ticked off. But, if everything plays is right, we're settling, hosting a playoff game in a month.
All right, John, what do you got going on this weekend, buddy?
Actually, I'm taking off Friday. I'm going to go visit my nephew who's coaching at Central Arkansas. It's his first year. They had a rough year this year. He wanted me to come up to the game, and I wanted to go visit him, checking his coaching out. So I'm going to spend my weekend up in Conway, Arkansas, and chill them guys and watch. Ole Miss is off this weekend, so I'm going to relax and go watch him and just enjoy it. Watch, a little FCS football. That's about it.
All right. John Fourcade, the legend, joining our show. Thank you very much for stopping by, and we'll talk to you next week on Egg Bowl, I guess Eve, sort of. Yeah. So
yeah.
We'll talk some Egg Bowl.
Let's hope it ain't an egg in a face bowl. All right, my friend.
Yeah,
I'll see you.
Take care, buddy.
All right.
All right. Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves in offering the most comprehensive perspectives. It's why we're the front door of Ole Miss. If you don't believe me, Google Ole Miss podcast and see how much we come up. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. It helps the show, and it's completely free. Your support means the world to us. Thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On SEC. Chris Gordy breaks down the best conference in all of college sports, from the rivalries to the championship and every game in between. Find Locked On SEC on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hotty toddy, and remember, analytics is just the old English word that means bad football. I guess we might need to change that in slogan pretty quick. Anyway, we'll see you tomorrow.